Happy Friday, this is Nick from VolumeProfileTrader.com on Friday, October 28th, and I'm going to discuss the NVDA trade that I just posted on Twitter about an hour ago or so. Give you what I'm looking for in terms of upside potential and why I put the trade on in the first place. So let's just dive right into this. Alright, so this point of control that we have seen for the last 3 months has developed at around 1450 on NVDA. And one thing that's interesting about this is that point of control is also looking at the same, it's right at the same level as the 50 and 20-day moving average. And that all three of those held as support, and now we're seeing a move to the upside. Now, I wish I put this trade on, a couple days ago, because it would have been, the strikes would have probably been different. I would have probably sold the 14 puts and bought the 15 calls, maybe the 16s. But, I didn't see the trade, so one thing I wanted to do to still be involved was to mitigate my risk or to lower my cost basis in the trade, and that's why I sold the downside puts. So, looking at NVDA, and just before I get started anymore, I'm sorry, if you didn't read my tweet, what I did do was I sold the 15 puts in December on NVDA, which is price level wise around right here, and I bought the 16 calls that expire in December. Net, I paid, I think, 2 cents for this trade. So all I need to because I went out to December, I bought enough time, but pretty much I'm looking for this thing to break out, and you can see that we've had some little bit of resistance at this, current levels that we're trading at. And I'm really looking for some type of upside breakout. And I thought that this development that we saw, which the point of control and the 50 and 20-day moving averages, I saw them, I saw NVIDIA hold those levels and basically bounce very nicely off of them. And I'm also seeing this green line, which is the whole moving average, and it is just to give you an idea, it's the 55 whole moving average on a 4-hour chart. And it's starting to point up. And what that tells me is, for limited downside, I'm risking about 50 cents downside to see, the upside of NVIDIA, hopefully about $1.50. I have the feeling that if this thing breaks this resistance level, we're going to see a nice pop to the upside, and we're going to go straight to $17 thereabout. I don't think it's too late to enter this trade. I think I entered it a little lower price. I think it was around $15.50 or so. But it's interesting. It's an interesting development. This was a trade that I tried to get in a couple of months ago. I want to say it was at these levels. I was trying to get into NVIDIA, and I failed. I got stopped out, which is fine. That's part of trading. But this time it's looking a little more, it's looking like a better setup. Now, one thing to mention is, if you aren't interested in taking in on that risk of selling the 15 put, then you can just buy the upside call, the 15. You could buy the 15 call if you want an at the money or slightly in the money call. Or you can buy the 16 call, or really, if you want to really get some leverage, buy the 17 call. And obviously you're going to need NVIDIA to move. The higher you go out in terms of strikes, the quicker you need to see it move, which is fine, but, dollar-wise, you have a much higher probability that this thing will expire worthless the higher you go out in terms of buying calls. So I think you can buy the 16 calls for around $1. It may be a little less or a little more right now, but I think it's an opportunity to get into NVDA basically at this higher base level that we're seeing. And let me zoom in once more. We're seeing this higher base develop, and it looks just like how the S&P did before it broke out earlier this week. So, overall, I hope this trade works out. If it doesn't, I'm going to cut my losses quick. So, this is NVDA, and this is your trade for next week. This is Friday, October 28th. Nick from VolumeProfileTrader.com.